So, you want to start teaching English online, but you don't know where to start, what you need, or even where to apply. Well, stay tuned, it might just be easier than you think. Hi, I'm Simmy. Welcome to Class on the Cloud. On this channel, you will find tips and suggestions to help you get started on your online teaching and online learning journey. In this series, we are talking about teaching English online and specifically how to get started. Now, this video is number 7 of a 10-part series. If you have not seen the other videos, make sure to watch them after this one, link below, and don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss my next video. In this video, I'm going to share tips and suggestions on how to pass your all-important online ESL Teacher Skype interview and demo lesson. Now, this video is divided into 2 parts. The first part, I'm going to talk about the actual interview. The second part, I'm going to talk about how to prepare for your first demo lesson. Now, it is important to note that there are 2 demo lessons. If you just want to see how to prepare for a demo lesson, timestamp below. So let's get started. There's a very popular saying that if you fail to prepare, you need to be prepared to fail. It's as simple as that. So I cannot stress enough, be prepared for your interview. Once your resume and your introduction video has been accepted, you'll receive an instruction email on how to prepare for your interview as well as your demo lesson. Now, these emails can be quite lengthy. I would highly suggest to read through it at least twice. Do not skim through it and follow the instructions very carefully. This is the number 1 key to success in your interview. Next, I would suggest double check your time zones carefully. The interview will be conducted in Beijing time. Now, it is very important to think about when you book your interview. You do not want to book your interview first thing in the morning in Beijing. Your interviewer has not had their second cup of coffee yet. You do not want to book your interview just before lunch in Beijing. Your interviewer will be more interested in a grumbling stomach than your excellent teaching skills. Lastly, you do not want to book your interview just before home time in Beijing. Your interviewer will be tired, have conducted several interviews during the day, and will just be thinking about when it's time to go home. So the best time that I would suggest to book your interview would be mid-morning or just after lunch. The key thing to being prepared for these Skype interviews is to research the type of questions that you might be asked and to prepare sensible answers in advance. I would also suggest researching the company, finding out who they are, where they are, what type of students you'll be teaching, and what they require for an online English teacher. This is the minimal preparation you will be doing before your interview. Most of the online teaching recruiters and interviewers are looking for animated, energetic, smiley teachers. So make sure that your passion for teaching does come through strongly. I would also suggest coming up with some of your own questions to ask the interviewer with regards to the company. So these questions could be, what are your peak hours? How many teachers do you have in the company? What are the ages that I could typically be teaching? Think about some questions before the interview so you don't sit and think during the interview. You want to be ready with your answers and your questions. Next, it goes without saying that you need to look the part. Now, as it is lovely to work from home and to literally roll out of bed and then go work, you do not want to look like you've just rolled out of bed. You want to make a little bit of effort. So style your hair, put on some makeup, and dress professionally. Professionally in a sense that will be deemed professional in every culture and context. I would suggest dress like you would for a business interview. Look your best. First impressions do count in this industry. Conducting your interview in a quiet space with a clear background and no distractions is key to a successful interview. Now, number 1, I would suggest put your cell phone off for the duration of the interview. You do not want to have the cell phone ringing or messages coming through during your interview time. This comes across as extremely unprofessional. Also, make sure that your housemates are aware that you are conducting an online interview. The last thing you want is a housemate running past the screen screaming, "Who ate the last pizza?" while you're trying to impress an interviewer. Now, it is lovely to work from home as an online English teacher, and many of the teachers do teach from their bedrooms, but do not make this obvious. An unmade bed and dirty laundry in the background is very unappealing. Make sure that your background is clear, uncluttered, preferably a blank wall. As simple as it may seem, conduct your interview on the device you're going to be teaching from. It is firstly a good way to test your technology to make sure that everything runs smoothly. And secondly, the interviewer will have a good idea of what the student will experience. I would highly suggest not to conduct your interview from your smartphone. While you're using the device that you'll be teaching from, I would also suggest using the headset that you'll be using to teach. Now, a good headset will have good audio for you and a good noise-cancelling mic. A noise-cancelling mic will dampen all the noises in the background. It will also come across more professionally and give the impression that I'm ready for this position. Talking about headsets, I would highly suggest that you test your headset, audio and mic on Skype before conducting the interview. This is one of the basic preparations that you should make. During your interview, you will be asked about your technology specifications. This is simply because the recruiter needs to make sure that your computer is fast enough and strong enough and that your internet speed is fast enough to conduct online lessons professionally. You need to come across as tech savvy, even if you are not. Familiarize yourself with technology acronyms like ISP, LAN, operating system, RAM, and megabytes per second. These are the basic terms you need to know. During your interview, you might be asked to send a screenshot of your computer specifications. Make sure you know where to find them, or even better, find them before the interview, save the screenshot on your desktop, and be ready to send it when requested. You will also be asked to run a speed test during the interview. So before the interview, make sure your speed is at least 10 megabits per second. My next suggestion would be to troubleshoot your technology in advance. The best way to do this is to do a mock interview or to do a Skype call to some friends or family 2-3 days before your interview. This is a good way to test your headset, your camera angle, and your lighting. And your friends and family should be honest enough to be able to tell you that it does not work or thumbs up, let's go for it. If you do find technical difficulties with your technology, this still gives you a 2-day professional time frame to reschedule your interview until you can get all your tech good and ready to ace your interview. Now, it goes without saying, make sure that you are familiar with the video call software that you're going to be using. Usually it will be Skype. Now, nothing says trying to be tech savvy, but I'm not. Like not being able to answer a Skype video call. Make sure that you know the software, how to use it, and how to send attachments in the chat box. Those are the minimal basics. Another important thing you want to check before your interview are your computer updates. There is nothing more heart-wrenching than switching on the laptop before an interview and your laptop starts updating. Manually switch off your updates for the day of the interview just to be safe. The last tip I'm going to give you about your ESL online teacher interview is to make sure that you have good lighting. Bad lighting and poor video quality can actually cost you this job. So I would suggest to have plenty of natural light or a bright light or two in front of you when conducting your interview. This will make sure that your interviewer can see you nice and clearly. I would also suggest making sure that your camera angle is correct. It is good to have the webcam eye level and not too close. They do not want an in-depth look into your nose pores, and definitely no one wants to look up your nostrils. Check your camera angle, make sure your lighting is good before you conduct your interview. Make sure that you don't sit in the shadows and that it is a good, clear head and shoulder shot. You definitely don't want to come across as if you're auditioning for the star role of The Godfather. Lighting and good video quality, as I mentioned, can break or make your interview. Now we're going to talk about the second part of your ESL online Skype interview, and also probably the most daunting part, your demo lesson. There are 2 demo lessons that you will be presenting during your ESL online teacher interviewing process. The first one will be during your interview. Once you've passed your interview, done the training on their platform, Then you will be asked to do a second demo interview in the teaching platform. And most likely, in most companies, you'll also be asked to do an online test regarding the training. This is all part of the onboarding process, and you need to prepare for all of it. So let's jump right into it. How do you prepare for this demo lesson, and what do they expect? Be prepared to teach your lesson to an ESL student during your demo. You will receive an email a few days ahead of your interview with instructions on your demo. Follow those instructions to the letter. Also, download the PowerPoint presentation or the PDF. Make sure you have a printed version as well as a digital version, and that the digital version is open on your laptop for when you need to present your demo. You'll be delivering your demo lesson to the recruiter on the other side. Now, even though this person is fluent in English, you need to pretend that you are presenting this lesson to a 6-year-old child who has minimal English exposure, and you need to teach the names of fruit or party items or whatever the lesson material suggests. Pay attention to any keywords and sentence patterns that are on your teaching material. For example, let's say you're teaching the word apple, as in fruits, English names for fruits. This is how you would do it. Look at the picture. What do you see? Apple. Can you say apple? Good. It's an apple. What is it? It's an apple. Good job. Something to that extent. You get the picture. Right, so you teach to your target audience. When presenting this lesson, you want to be almost over the top, enthusiastic, creative, animated, and patient. It is important to do more than just the basics. After all, this is what you're going to be doing in the real classroom. So when preparing for your lesson, make sure to pull out your TEFL course notes. Watch a couple of YouTube videos about ESL teaching strategies and really go the extra mile. Make sure you have plenty of TPR or hand gestures and that you know how to use those effectively. Have some props or puppets, have some flashcards, and even some realia. For example, if you're teaching the apple, you might want to bring a real apple into your lesson. On a side note, if you're using a blackboard or a whiteboard, be aware of the whiteboard. Make sure that your camera is flipped so that your words don't come across backwards. If you have not used a blackboard or whiteboard on a camera before, rather leave it out of the demo. This could be very embarrassing if you do it incorrectly. It is of utmost importance that your demo lesson is tried and tested. Now, when you receive the PPT or the lesson material, it might come across as easy and basic, but please don't just wing it. You are competing against thousands of English teachers and you want to stand out. Be prepared. Once again, if you fail to prepare, be prepared to fail. Make sure you plan your lesson well. Know what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, how you're going to teach the vocabulary, and how you're going to model those key sentences. Focusing in on the keywords and modeling the correct sentences, as well as pronunciation correction, is key to passing this demo lesson. Next, you need to make sure that you pace your lesson correctly. If your lesson time is 10 minutes, make sure that you can present that entire lesson within the time frame. Using post-it notes and timestamps really helps to help pace your lesson in the beginning. Your interviewer will also check how you respond to the student's mistakes, mispronunciation, or incorrect sentences. Here it is very important to never, let me repeat that, never correct negatively. The correct way to do this is praise the student for good effort Then model the correct word or the correct sentence and repeat gently. Never say, oh no, not like that, not like that. Rather something like, good job. Why don't we try that again? Can you say apple? Apple. Good. Now, let's say it's an apple. There we go. The last suggestion I want to give you is to do your lesson a few times through before the interview. Practice in front of the mirror, present the lesson to a housemate or a family member or even to your dog. Do not let the first time that you present this lesson be in your interview. And lastly, as always, speak slowly, speak clearly, and be yourself. That's a wrap. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found this video informative, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss my next video. I'm Simmy. This is Class in the Cloud.